Hi, I'm Julia, and I want to tell you about something cool my mom made. It's called Marketing 360. It's a full review of your business customer journey and marketing stuff like your website, emails, and social media. She finds what's not working and gives you a plan to fix it so you can get more of the right clients. If you want to know when it launches, text Be Weird to 55444. That's BEWEIRD to 55444. You're gonna look, I know, because my mom is really smart.
Do you ever feel like thinking about your business finances is a lot like going to the dentist? It's necessary, but it's not fun, and none of us really want to do it. My guest today used to want to join the FBI because she loved the show Alias so much. Who didn't? But instead, she became the funniest and the kindest bookkeeper I've ever met. And she's here to help you ditch your money shame, to fix your QuickBooks mess, and to finally feel confident in your numbers and in your finances as a whole. Hey there, creative business owners. Welcome to the Higher Purpose Marketing Strategy Podcast. I'm Ashley Conway, and for over 20 years, I've been helping creative businesses as a marketing expert and copywriter. If you've ever felt like your branding or marketing is holding back your business's growth, and you're over being on the DIY hamster wheel, you're in the right place. Each week, I'll walk you through simple, story-filled strategies to build a harmonious marketing system that attracts your ideal high-paying clients without the overwhelm. Ready to make marketing work for you? Let's go. Erika Millard is a bookkeeping and QuickBooks expert who empowers female business owners with confidence and peace of mind when it comes to their bookkeeping. She specializes in creating simple and easy bookkeeping routines that save her clients both time and money. And as the host of the Get Comfy with Numbers podcast, Erika makes finances feel approachable and doable. Now, when she's not teaching or podcasting, Erika's a wife to a medical resident, a mom of 4, and loves exploring ice cream shops in the Birmingham, Alabama area with her family. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation and to get to know Erika. All right, y'all, I'm so excited that you get to meet my friend Erika. So let me tell you how I met her. We were in a mastermind group together. Then that mastermind group is not still going, but we are still in touch and still see each other, hopefully, once a year or so. But she is the funniest person I know in bookkeeping, which is like finding a unicorn. So I'm so excited for you all to get to know her. But first, so Erika, I know you have 4 kids, right?
Yes.
It is summertime. We are both still not back in school yet. So how on the world are you keeping your sanity and able to get any work done in the midst of summer?
It is wild. But yeah, we're surviving over here. So my 4 are 8, turning 7 on Thursday, almost 3 and 17 months. So my house is just destroyed all the time. But thankfully my hack has been, we live in an awesome neighborhood. And so my kids are playing with neighbor kids, often the older ones. So that has been huge for us. And then I've had a sitter come a couple days a week, as much as I can, but it's been super chaotic. And I have been recording podcast episodes at 10 o'clock at night because that's the only time my house is quiet. Like we're just making it happen and ready for school to start.
I know it's this weird balance of like loving the looser schedule of summer, but then also being like, I have no structure to get anything done.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the blessing and the curse of entrepreneurship is that, I can work anytime, but I can work anytime. And
Yes.
So having that structure, I feel like is helpful for me during the school year, because otherwise it can just like make my mind go in and out and so be so distracted.
Right. I know if you don't have a daycare option or a nanny option, it really is so difficult to try to find like those, especially if you're doing something that requires more brain power, like in depth, I need some deep work time, so to speak. Trying to find that during the summer is just, it feels impossible to me. So I'm kind of like you. We have just a few days. And in fact, when this airs, maybe this will, it'll actually be back to school or close to it. And I will
Yes.
be a much calmer, more peaceful person. Oh, we love our kids. We love our kids. It's just hard to do two things at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So that's
totally.
super fun. You know what? As I was preparing for this interview, I found the funniest thing that I connected with with you on. So you didn't start out wanting to be, a bookkeeping, accounting, any of these things. It was the FBI. And did you say it was because of Alias?
It so was.
Oh my gosh.
And now I know people, if you were an Alias fan, you're like, but she was CIA, not FBI. But I thought, okay, well, FBI is actually a little more realistic. So at my college, they would come and recruit
No way.
to our accounting classes. And the recruiter that came was probably 4'9", like looked like she was barely 100 pounds. And she was always carrying a gun. And I was like, I could be her.
They came to your accounting classes to recruit?
Yes,
This is
she did.
wild.
They came to our school of business to recruit because at the time was like a peak pivotal moment where they were really trying to build up their division of white collar crime and fraud, and the internet was just like rapidly changing, and so they had so many more cases of that they were recruiting more business people, more like professionals to use their expertise in that way. And so I was like, oh, I could totally be a special agent. I was like this 5'2", blonde at the time, and I was like, no one would suspect me. I could go undercover and be like, boom, you're under arrest. So that was the vision that did not end up happening, but
I love this. I'm getting like the show White Collar vibes and Covert Affairs vibes. I'm like, this is all super fantastic.
All of the shows combined. That is why I went into accounting. So anyone that asked me, I was like, I'm going into accounting, but for a cool reason. Because I felt like I had to justify my choice.
I mean, really, you could have just been like, because have you seen Alias? Girl, we have the entire show on DVD that tells you.
And so in college, I was like really into working out. And then even in high school, there used to be this kid, like this teen survivor type show on the Discovery Channel where you would like do all these challenges. So me and my friend would like make up different courses and stuff for us to do. So we had some unique skills that we were working.
This says so much about you. It really does.
Crazy.
Who don't
right?
know you.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is just not your average bookkeeper who's just
I was like, I'm
gonna
bust that stereotype, because I did actually then end up going into corporate accounting and working with a lot of the stereotype. There was literally a girl I worked with who, well, anyways, I won't get into that, but yes, it was like they put me and the other girl who was an extrovert next to each other, and then the whole other cubicle section was silence, and you would just hear us talking like all the time. So yes, not your average accountant.
And I feel like, and I kind of feel sorry for you, because accounting, bookkeeping, finances does kind of get a bad rap, because the rest of us who are not in that world, it's more of like, I kind of think of it like going to the dentist. I don't want to do this. This is not fun, but it's necessary. So I am a grown up and I do what I have to do. And I kind of lump in accounting and finances and all of that into it. And I think a lot of us do. So is it possible to get past that as a CEO?
It is. I think there's some things that are probably just never going to be your favorite, and that's okay. But that is why I try to bring humor and some fun into what can be a really boring and intimidating topic for a lot of people. But I will say, when you know your numbers and when you can really understand what is going on in your business, you can actually feel such a deeper sense of confidence and empowerment when you know what's going on. And so, for example, one of my clients, she was a hair and makeup artist, and she was trying to use the notes app of her phone to keep track of which contractors she needed to pay and what payments were coming in so that she knew when she could pay them. And she was so stressed out and just overwhelmed by keeping up with everything. And once she started using QuickBooks and we worked together so that she could make a simple routine, she can do her bookkeeping in 15 minutes a week. And she said that when she looks at her reports now, she just feels so much more peace and confidence and ability to make decisions. And so that's really where that confidence can come from is, okay, now that this is taken care of, I can make such good decisions and be proactive instead of reactive. And so that's my hope for people. And, it may not ever become your favorite thing, but you can definitely do some hacks to try to make it a little more fun. And when you know the end result of, wow, I'm going to be able to just make so much better decisions in my business, that can help a little bit too.
Yeah, and I do love that part because it does come down to, yeah, I'm willing to do it if I know that when it comes to hiring or setting my sales goal for the month or, whatever it may be, or even knowing when, like what time of the month to pay certain contractors. That's all that helps me at the end of the day. Basically, that does help me with my bottom line and to be more profitable. Are there things like, what do you think are the key things that we should be looking at?
Yeah. So no matter if you do your own bookkeeping or if you have a bookkeeper, I actually see some business owners who have a bookkeeper fall into the trap of, well, I have a bookkeeper there taking care of all of that, so I don't need to look at anything. And that's what I really want to challenge you on is that that's so great that you don't have to do the day-to-day transactions. Awesome. But then start looking at those reports that they send you to be able to help you make the decisions that we're talking about. So one thing that I love to help people see is, okay, with your sales, can you figure out a way to split those out so that you can see which packages or which services are selling more or less? Because sometimes we spend so much effort on something that we think is actually giving us a higher return in our business, but then it's really not when you actually look at the numbers. Or, hey, I'm spending on this ad campaign. Am I actually getting more services because of it or not? And so those are the types of things that when you have your numbers organized and ready to actually start looking for so that you can see, okay, is this actually working or not? Another thing I like to help people look at is, okay, then once you've gotten your income straightened out, what about your expenses? So what, especially from the marketing perspective, what am I spending on and am I getting that return like we talked about? And then is there anything that I can cut out? So I had a client recently go through all of her subscriptions and realized I signed up for something 8 months ago that I didn't remember I was still paying for. And so that saved her $100 a month. And it for marketing, like you could use all of that for some other purpose if you're not paying attention. So those are some simple little things that are easy to say to do, but people often forget and can have a big impact in the future.
Yeah, and you kind of reminded me something because some of this is like, finances bleeding into marketing and working with that because it's even, are you with the tools that you have, the subscriptions do you have, are you using all of their capabilities? Or is there some overlap and there's some expense there that you could cut out? But are these kind of things something that we should expect a bookkeeper to suggest to us that they can do? Because I'm thinking most of the time it's like, just keep my books and have me ready on tax time or take care of my payroll or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's going to vary depending on the bookkeeper and depending on what package or what level you're at. I have seen all the way from I just enter your transactions and that's it. Then kind of the next step would be send you some reports. Then a next step would be I give you some insights on those reports. So it may actually just be the package that you're in. So if you don't get reports or some kind of insight into it, then the first step, just go to your bookkeeper if you like them and say, hey, I would like to start getting your thoughts on this, or I would like to start getting, is there anything I should cut or that you see that is inefficient? Because since they're in the day-to-day transactions, they would be able to see it. But some bookkeepers, that's just not their expertise. And so that may be when you kind of get to a point of, okay, I really want to start digging into this. You may need to either find somebody else, or that can also be where more of like a fractional CFO comes in. If you really want to get some more analysis into your numbers, somebody a little bit higher level can help you with like tax strategy and more budgeting and cash flow and all of those types of things. So those are, hopefully that helps kind of see some different levels depending on, because everybody can slap on bookkeeper and that can mean such different things actually depending on the person.
Yeah, and it may be that, people listening to this may have a gap. They may have a bookkeeper who is doing that transactional stuff. And if you don't feel like as a CEO that either you have the skill set or you're not able to like zoom out and say, yeah, let's look at all the things I'm offering and where the greatest profitability is at and kind of lean into that. I mean, that is high level, financial thinking that they may have that gap that they need somebody to step into. And if nothing else, to ask them the questions. Maybe it's something you can figure out as a CEO, but you need somebody to kind of daylight for you. These are the questions you should be asking.
Yeah, and you may not need that every month because sometimes month to month it doesn't change all
Right.
that much, but maybe a quarterly package or a semi-annual package upgraded would be helpful just to make sure that you're on track and thinking in the right way. Because a lot of times I find you just kind of need to like borrow our thinking, if you will, and understand like what we would look for and then be able to apply it to your business. So those are some things I would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, I find that as a marketing person too. It's like you just don't know what you don't know. You don't know the questions to ask. You do need somebody that has a different perspective, that looks at your business a little differently to say, you should ask yourself these questions. So, I mean, what would you say that if it's a bookkeeper on a monthly basis, or if it's somebody with a little higher level of expertise on a quarterly or semi-annual, what are those questions you would suggest?
Yeah, so I think some of them are, well, once you get to like the higher level, I think cash flow can become really important of when making sure all of the payments are flowing in the right timing to be able to collect money from people and then be able to afford to pay, especially in like wedding industries and some of those where you get deposits way in advance and then the other remaining half later. It can just feel really complicated and confusing. So I think some strategy to like timing and payment plans and recurring income and all of that could be helpful. And then sometimes you're as lean as possible and you can't cut anything out. So you just need to make more money. And sometimes you need people to say that straight of, okay, I think you're running, I don't see anything duplicated or extra. You just got to bring in more if you want to pay yourself more. And then a few other things that I like to help people with too are to actually know how much you want to pay yourself and be able to break that down into, okay, I need to sell this mix of my products or services to be able to hit that goal and still be able to pay for taxes and invest back into my business and meet all of the other goals. So I have a small a digital product that helps with that. So I'll share the link. It's called Take Home Target, and it'll walk you through, okay, here's all my expenses. Here's all my goals and dreams of if I could invest everything I wanted to in my business. And then we help you prioritize what is important to pay for and invest in next. And then we walk through what your income goal is and then how to actually, like I said, what mix of your products or packages will get you to that goal. So those are some kind of next step things. Like once you have the day-to-day transactions taken care of just how to get to a little bit higher level of thinking.
Yeah. And if you're not somebody who is ready for a business manager or ready for that fractional CFO, that is a really good, in between to help you figure out the same things that they would be figuring out for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think in all things in business, it's like there's a season where you've just got to grind and do it yourself. And then there's a season where, okay, it's time to outsource that. And so, but really, I think the financial stuff is one of those things that I really encourage people to at least have a foundational level of understanding, because you can get led astray really easily if you are just like agreeable to everything that someone advises you to do. And so that's why I think for a time, and we don't want to linger and let it be frustrating for too long without getting support, but for a season of time, just trying to dig into, okay, what are all of my expenses and what date do they draft? And, just having a handle on some of those things, or how can I calculate what I want my goal to be and what does it look like to meet that goal, like in reality. Okay, well, you can say you have this huge income goal, but then so it can also help you lead to, am I pricing this correctly? Because if you have a big goal and then it takes 75,000 of your package to get there, well, like that's probably not realistic.
Right.
So anyway, so all of those things are good to dig into in the beginning so that you don't just blindly take someone's advice, because I've unfortunately seen that often, and then it can create that sense of shame even more around numbers, and that's not what I want for you.
Yeah. And I mean, that also, you have to be able to, even when you're not doing it, to know the right questions to ask. Like you said, you can't just let anything that you delegate go and have no involvement in it whatsoever. Wouldn't that be great? But that's not like responsible entrepreneurship. I mean, we need to know the right questions to ask these people, because we need to be informed about our own businesses in order, to steward them well.
Yeah, so a couple of those questions are, now this sounds crazy, but number one, are my books up to date? Because sometimes you're paying someone for a service and they get behind and it's not actually current. So you may, hopefully most people know this, but I'm just going to say it in case. Often bookkeepers, we're working a little bit lagged. So now, like at the time of this, it's August. We're recording in August. So we are just now working on closing out July. That's normal if you're paying for monthly bookkeeping. But if you're paying for monthly bookkeeping and it's not caught up, or like they're behind and you only have April numbers, well, that's something we need to address. So that sounds crazy, but the first step is, are my books and records actually up to date? Sometimes you might be the hang up and you need to get that things to your bookkeeper a little more timely. So just make sure that it's working for everyone to actually get the job done. The second thing is, you could ask your bookkeeper, is there anywhere you see that I'm leaking money? Anything, like we had mentioned, duplicated or maybe overpriced, that there's a cheaper option? Or is there anything just that stands out as unnecessary? Sometimes when we are categorizing things and see everything going to software subscriptions, we might be able to see, oh, you have a lot of these, whereas it might not seem abnormal. So sometimes they can help you dig into that. And then depending on what kind of person you have, the next question is just, okay, what story is this telling me? What should I be paying attention to? Are there trends? And maybe I can see like a seasonal relationship with the numbers or things going up or down. Like I think a lot of times in summer, certain industries just really dip, and knowing that ahead of time can help your feelings of like, no one wants to work with me. No, that's not true. It's just a trend. It's just the summer. It's just the season of business. So sometimes your bookkeeper or other financial professional can help you notice those trends too, and be able to help bring you the facts to some of those feelings.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking about that because there are several clients I work with that they dip around the holidays. So November, December is a lot more dead for them for one reason or the other. But you still have on a lot of these things the same expenses. And to be able to plan for that, and we know that it's like, lean times and great times, but you have to be able to plan that you're going to have those same expenses that you would on a lean month. And is that something that our bookkeepers can help us with?
Again, it depends on level of expertise, but I think if you start asking those questions, you'll be able to tell pretty quickly if
Mhm.
they have that level of knowledge and skill, or if that's somewhere to go elsewhere. And it might just be dependent on your package that you're in as well. So maybe if you like the person, you can ask for more insights and things like that. But yeah, I think we can pretty easily recognize, for the most part, hey, here's these things, and then even just be able to help you, just bring you the facts, because I think sometimes then when we can say, well, this is what we see, then you can make decisions on it. But if you just need the skills to be able to see it in the beginning, we can teach that.
Mhm. So when we're hiring a bookkeeper, whether somebody has one or they're, getting to the process of getting to the point they need to hire one, um, is there like what would you recommend for somebody at let's say they're at they're in the six-figure level. Is there a good reason to have somebody who just does the data entry, the transactions, unless maybe you already have a CFO, you have a business manager? Other than that, is there a good reason to hire somebody that's just doing the transactional stuff with no insight?
Yeah, well, usually that's just because of cost, or just lack of knowledge. Maybe you, again, don't know what you don't know, so you don't
Mhm.
even know that it's an option to get the insights and that type of help. So I think that's kind of why it happens, is because either you just met your bookkeeper from a connection or something, and you didn't know that there was something else available.
Mhm.
Okay, there's some creative ways that I've seen people do bookkeeping, and so I'm gonna just throw out all of the options. So especially with AI and even in QuickBooks, they're trying to add more AI features, and so there is a potential. I work with one business owner who has basically a VA do all the categorizing in her business, and then she works with me to make sure that all of the categories like make sense, and then I send her insights into those numbers each month. So she's actually doing the quote unquote work, or her team,
Mhm.
but we are reviewing it to make sure that that is accurate, and then also providing some of those insights. So that's kind of a creative way, I guess, that would cost a little bit less. I think, though, the expertise in most cases is worth paying for, because doing it wrong, or somebody doing it wrong, can end up costing you more later on. If
Mhm.
you have to, just the transition of hiring someone else to clean it up, and the pain of that can just be cost a lot of money. So yeah, usually I only, back to your original question,
Mhm.
usually I only see people using a lesser because they don't know that there's another option, or it's just the cost. Um, And so I really do recommend, like, when you're ready to hire a bookkeeper, to look for someone that's gonna send you reports. And then sometimes you'll see that they not only send you reports, but also meet with you quarterly to
Mm-hmm.
review things. Or they send you Loom video reviews of your numbers. Or they have an add on type of consult call where you can meet, like we said, kind of semi-annually or annually and review things. So that is really what I recommend to look for, because it will just give you that additional sense of confidence to know, to have the skills to look and see what story is this telling me.
Right. Because really, let's be honest, it's not the data entry that's the hard part. Speaking from somebody who does that part myself, it's not the data entry that's difficult. That's just like keeping track of your personal finances. Same thing. It is the insight. It is the, am I spending enough time to review this? Am I asking the right questions? Am I reviewing it enough? I mean, how often should we be reviewing our numbers?
Yeah, I still recommend that you look at them monthly, but if monthly feels like too much, then at least quarterly, because sometimes you might have a goal, but depending on how payments and deposits kind of hit and all of that, quarterly will tell you a pretty good picture. I like to do monthly just because you can catch errors a little more quickly.
Mhm.
And so sometimes, like if there's fraudulent charges or, things like that, to wait 3 months before you look at it is a pain, but you can catch errors and those kind of things more quickly if you're looking at it monthly. But, a takeaway from this could just be block 15 minutes on your calendar each month or each quarter and commit to actually working and looking at your numbers. I have a podcast episode on hacks to make bookkeeping more fun, because sometimes we just need that. And so for some of my clients, it really works if they go to a coffee shop and kind of treat themselves. If they make their favorite drink at home, or they sit in their special spot, or they light a candle. Like, some of my clients really need that to make the habit actually stick. They need something fun to go with it.
Mhm.
So to borrow from James Clear, to habit stack those things together. So make
Right.
something fun out of something that's usually boring or intimidating, so that you actually get yourself to do it. So if you need to do that for the first couple of months, then go for it. Get your special treat, order your DoorDash lunch, like whatever it is that will actually make you do it. And start looking at the reports that they sent you. And even just find out, even if it just leads you to a lot of questions, that's great, because that just gets your brain thinking of, okay, what is the story it's telling me? What packages are selling most or least? Where am I spending the most money? Am I running ads, and am I seeing my profit increase? Just all of those kinds of things. Do any of these categories like look wrong or high compared to the last month or quarter? Those are all kinds of things that can just get your brain going and then lead to potentially more questions. And the more you do this, the more you will start to see, like I've been doing this with one of my clients now, and she was like, okay, now this category just jumped out to me because it looks odd. And I'm like, yes, now
Mhm.
you're understanding like what I look for as well. And so just getting in that habit, I promise you will, even if you have more questions, like that is a great place to start, because you're actually digging into it and getting in that messy, okay, I'm gonna commit to figuring this out. And if someone shames you for asking those questions, then you need to find somebody else to work with, because
Yeah.
there's plenty of bookkeepers that I'm connected to, and CPAs and tax professionals that do not act that way. And I think a lot of people are intimidated because they've had a bad experience with a financial professional. Like, one client I work with said she went to open a bank account and they made her feel so stupid. And so she just cried. And so anything like that, is there's somebody else out there that would love to help you. So we don't sometimes I feel like the industry gets this rap like, well, that's just all CPAs. Like they're all intimidating. No, find somebody else.
I mean, I think that's part of running your own business well is to get comfortable asking what you consider dumb questions. Like just get over what everybody thinks about me. I'm going to ask whatever I want to ask. And I know that's easier said than done. But you made me think about that. Like, this is all about moving into that true CEO role. Like, I'm going to look at my finances seriously. I'm going to ask these questions about what's profitable and where I'm spending money. And honestly, from a marketing perspective, your marketing person should be asking for that kind of data too, because I need that to help then decide, okay, now I'm going to recommend to you that we promote the thing that is most profitable more than the things that aren't as profitable. We're going to put ads behind the things that are really working for you, because there's no point in wasting your spend on things that are struggling. I mean, we want to be data informed, but the only way your marketing person, your marketing expert can use data to help you make really good marketing decisions is if you're working with your bookkeeper, your accountant, whoever it is, to get the data to begin with.
Yeah, if you don't have it clean and ready to go to begin with, you can't even answer these questions. And so I think a lot of people forget that because it's like, I'll do my bookkeeping later, or I'll get, but you really can't make these timely decisions if you don't have it timely available and know what questions to ask.
Right. I mean, because what we don't want is for somebody to be, for a profitable business, a really skilled person who, whatever their niche is, to come in, they're bringing in all of these clients, they're doing this great work, but we're not able to really help them go to the next level, to scale to whatever it is, because some of this back end stuff behind the scenes is not as buttoned up as it should be.
Yeah. And I see it in higher level businesses than you would think.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just I thought my bookkeeper was on top of it and they're not. Not to throw shade to my own industry, but sometimes I see that happen more often than you would think. And then sometimes it's just, my bookkeeper's got it. I don't ever have to look at it. And that's not the right approach either.
Yeah, I see it too, where people are just, these CEOs, our clients that we work with, are so successful at what they do that it makes up for a lot of mistakes or missed opportunities going on behind the scenes. It's like you are just so skilled, you're bringing in so many clients, you're doing such great work that things have gotten messy. And it's okay because you're bringing in so much revenue. But that is not how you're going to, scale and sustain a really profitable business long term. You have to address some of these things that, may not be the most exciting, digging into the data, or at least bringing people beside you who will help you dig into the data.
Yeah, and I often find it gets really built up in your mind, especially if you're creative
True.
and you don't like numbers or you're self-proclaimed like bad at math. Like one of my clients told me that she failed accounting in college. And so she was really intimidated to do anything with numbers because it just brought back all of that guilt
Sure.
and shame and frustration. And so now she's all the way to more than 6 figures and confidently working in her QuickBooks and doing so well with it. And so, but she had to take those steps to overcome some of those stories that she had told herself. And so that's where I also want you to find someone that can help you look at things, but in the right way, because sometimes a more black and white, dry accountant may not be the right person for you if it's really intimidating. You might need someone that can help make it softer or smoother, and they exist. And so that's why I'm also saying just know who you're working with if that's the right fit, because often once you actually take some steps, it's not as bad as you think. A lot of times we can get things done quicker or just get you the data, and it's like 5 or 10 minutes, not a big deal to look at, make a decision. But if you're putting it off and putting it off and building it up so much in your brain, then it can really become this intimidating thing when in reality, like that's taking up way too much of your brain space. And we want you to use your creativity and actually go make more money in the business. But we've got to get past some of that and kind of prove to ourselves, oh, yeah, I can actually do this and look at it and make a wise decision.
You know, you're right, and it makes me think that there is such a huge mindset piece when it comes to this. I think there are so many different stories. You can start out as a young entrepreneur and make a couple of money mistakes, or have a month where it's like you're panicking to try to make payroll and that you carry that years down the road. Or you have in your own personal experience, like you have money stories about feeling like it's scarce or it's hard for me to get clients, or there's a limited amount of business out there and you're competing, and you bring all of that into this relationship with your money, with your bookkeeping help, all of that. And you're right, it would make such a difference to have somebody who understood that and would like help you overcome that.
Yeah, and our mutual friend Claudia really encourages people to journal. She's a mindset coach,
Mhm.
and she really encourages people to journal some of those money stories out. Like whenever something comes up or feels hard or feels like, oh, I have some resistance to this money thing and I'm not sure why, to just journal about it and see what comes up, because sometimes just recognizing it and getting it out on paper, then you can say, oh, well, that's not actually true. Or, oh, yeah, that was that one example, but now I've had 15 other examples of the opposite being true. And so, yeah, I made one bad investment, but now I've made several good ones. And so you can kind of retrain your brain. But if you don't even know like why some of those feelings are coming up, then it's really hard to tell yourself a different story.
Yeah, that is a good point. The journaling will help bring those out. I mean, this is great fodder for therapy, your therapy sessions. If you keep seeing it over and over, that like, I know I'm holding myself back because of this thing I'm believing and I can't seem to get over it, around it, under it, then yeah, take it there and work through that, because then that will change your whole money story with your business.
Yeah, and I think it's really important because so many of us values driven entrepreneurs, like
Mhm.
we have goals and aspirations to make money for specific reasons. It's
Right.
most people that I work with are not just greedy and like only want to pay themselves more. It's
Right.
often so that you can support your family or support another family member or help pay off some debt or give to more charities and be able to be more generous. Maybe there's something specific on your heart that you really want to do, and it really comes down to you need to make more money so that you can be able to do that. And money gives you so many more opportunities to actually knock some of those things out. And so I think keeping that in mind too is sometimes really helpful. Like, okay, I'm going to figure out my money mindset blocks. I'm going to look at my numbers, not just because somebody, Erica, says so, but because I want to be able to give and I want to be. So keeping that end goal in mind can sometimes be the best motivation.
Right. I love that. Um, and if I know if you all, what we've been on here 40 minutes, so you've gotten 40 minutes of Erica, and like she is, a unicorn. We've said that she's a unicorn. She's not your average bookkeeper. Let's call you a money specialist. Um, so there are alternatives out there. There are people who will help you with whatever your situation is. If you have a QuickBooks mess and you're you're just all out of order behind the scenes, or if you need somebody to give you the wisdom to know like what are the questions, what are the things I'm missing and about my own business, or if you need somebody to help point out, I think you have a limiting belief around this money thing, and just to point it out to you, to daylight that for you, those people exist. So, Erica, tell us about you. How do they connect with you? How do they find you? And I know you have a free gift you wanted to tell us about.
Yeah, so I am over on Instagram, Erika_Millard. That's where you can find some of the silly, goofy stuff that Ashley is talking about. And then I also have my own podcast, Get Comfy with Numbers. So if you need more tips like this of just things broken down, no jargon, no fluff, I try to answer all of the questions that you might be afraid to even say aloud over on the show. So go check that out. And then, yeah, so we help people no matter if you want to set it up, clean it up, or take it off your plate. And if I'm not a good fit, I have a lot of connections and referrals for who you're looking for that are these types of people. I'm very selective of who I will refer because it is crazy out there. And yeah, and then if you are in a place where you want to make sure that your QuickBooks is looking correct, then go check out my QuickBooks Health Check. And it'll walk you through some places that you might be forgetting about that really need to be in your QuickBooks. And you could even take that and ask your bookkeeper, hey, make sure that you're, marking all of these things off, because sometimes, like I said, different levels of experience may not cover all the things. So you can check that out as well.
And we'll be sure to put all of those links. And then I know you mentioned like a take-home.
Yes, take-home target. Yes.
I think I am using something similar that you created, which is very helpful. So we will definitely put those in the show notes and on the site as well. And we appreciate you so much. It's been a fun conversation, and I loved catching up and just getting to sit back and kind of learn from you. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me. It was great.
Thanks for listening to today's show. For all things podcast, including transcripts, extra resources, and a place to submit questions for the show, visit higherpurposemarketingstrategy.com. I'd also love for you to do me 2 quick favors. 1, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and 2, share this episode with your colleagues. And that's a wrap. Meet you back here next week.